And this verse says, such materialistic persons, attracted by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods, elevated to the moon, where they drink an extract of the soma plant. They again return to this planet. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The moon is considered one of the planets of the heavenly kingdom. One can be promoted to this planet by executing different sacrifices recommended in the Vedic literature, such as pious activities and worshiping the demigods and forefathers with rigidity and vows. But one cannot remain there for a very long time. Life on the moon is said to last 10,000 years, according to the calculation of demigods. The demigods' time is calculated in such a way that one day, meaning 12 hours, is equal to 6 months on this planet. It is not possible to reach the moon by any material vehicle, like a Sputnik, but persons who are attracted by material enjoyment can go to the moon by pious activities. In spite of being promoted to the moon, however, one has to come back to this earth again when the merits of his works in sacrifice are finished. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.21. Te tam bhuktva swarga lokam vishalam shine punye martya lokam vishanti. Well, so much for the United States or the Russians or whoever claims to have gone to the moon. So it says that first of all, the moon is a heavenly planet. It's in the heavenly kingdom. And one can be promoted to the planet moon by executing different sacrifices recommended in the Vedic literatures, such as pious activities and worshiping the demigods and forefathers with rigidity and vows. But one cannot remain there for a very long time. Life on the moon is said to last 10,000 years, according to the calculation of demigods. Well, you can live 10,000 years on the moon. Mm-hmm. The demigod's time is calculated in such a way that one day, 12 hours, is equal to 6 months on this planet. It is not possible to reach the moon by any material vehicle like a Sputnik. There it is. So much for space, space, what do you call it? Travel by the United States or the Russians or whoever. So yeah, so one cannot, and so it says that even if one does go to the moon, one cannot remain there for a very long time. Okay. However, one can go there. It is possible to go there, but not for a very long time. Okay, so there's no real need to go to the moon. It's just a waste of money and time. You can't live there anywhere. The atmosphere on the moon is not made for human beings to live upon. You would have to change your body and get a body that's that's suitable to live on the moon. And all these so-called statements that the United States went to the moon or Russia went to the moon, that's just hocus pocus. Nobody is going to the moon. First of all, the moon is a heavenly planet, and there are uh, people that live on the moon, and you have to get their permission to go there. You just can't, fly to the moon. It's just like if you live in Europe, oh, you got to get a passport and get permission to fly to the United States. Well, it's the same thing with the moon. You just can't decide to go to the moon. There are living entities on the moon, and uh, they can stop you from coming to the moon if they want to. So you have to have merit to go to the moon because it is a uh, a heavenly kingdom. It says here the moon is considered one of the planets of the heavenly kingdom. So they're not going to let anybody come there. You have to get permission to go there. And life on the moon is said to last 10,000 years, according to the calculation of what? According to the calculation of the demigods. So the moon is a heavenly planet. It's not a planet where there's just dust. That's what the so-called explorers of the moon have said. And they've claimed that they've gone to the moon, but that's a hoax. It's not true. However, the moon is more or less the playground for the demigods because they drink the liquor called somarasa. When you drink that liquor, it increases your lifespan by 1,000 years. So it's more or less the demigods' playground. They'll go there to live a longer life. Okay, so it says the moon is considered one of the planets of the heavenly kingdom. Okay, it's not an ordinary planet. One can be promoted to this planet by executing different sacrifices recommended in the Vedic literature. Well, that eliminates all the moon, all the people that claim they have gone to the moon. You have to perform different sacrifices recommended to go to the moon. Such pious activities in worshiping the demigods and forefathers with rigidity and vows. But one cannot remain there for a very long time. Life on the moon is said to last 10,000 years according to the calculation of demigods. The demigods' time is calculated in such a way that one day, 12 hours, is equal to 6 months on this planet. It is not possible to reach the moon by any material vehicle like a Sputnik. Okay, so that's the main statement here. But persons who are attracted by material enjoyment can go to the moon by pious activities. In spite of being promoted to the moon, however, one has to come back to this earth again when the merits of his works in sacrifice are finished. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.21. Te tam upasvarga lokam vishalam Shene punye mati lokam vishanti. So, so much for the moon and space exploration. They've never really gone to the moon. They might have gone to some other planet, or they might just be lying. I think they're just lying myself. Okay, text number 4. All the planets of the materialistic persons, including all the heavenly planets, such as the moon, are vanquished when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, goes to his bed of serpents, which is known as Ananta Sesha. Report by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The materially attached are very eager to promote themselves to heavenly planets such as the moon. There are many heavenly planets to which they aspire just to achieve more and more material happiness by getting a long duration of life and the paraphernalia for sense enjoyment. But the attached persons do not know that even if one goes to the highest planet, Brahmaloka, destruction exists there also. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that one can even go to the Brahmaloka, but still he will find the pangs of birth, death, disease, and old age. Only by approaching the Lord's abode, the Vaikuntha Loka, does one not take birth again in this material world. Okay, that's the main statement. The Grahamenes, or materialistic persons, however, do not like to use this advantage. They would prefer to transmigrate perpetually from one body to another or from one planet to another. They do not want the eternal blissful life in knowledge in the kingdom of God. There are 2 kinds of dissolutions. One dissolution takes place at the end of the life of Brahma. At that time, all the planetary systems, including the heavenly systems, are dissolved in water or enter into the body of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who lies in the Garbhodaka ocean on the bed of serpents, called Shesha. In other words, in the other dissolution, which occurs at the end of Brahma's day, all the lower planetary systems are destroyed. When Lord Brahma rises after his night, these lower planetary systems are again created. The statement in Bhagavad Gita that persons who worship the demigods have lost their intelligence is confirmed in this verse. These less intelligent persons do not know that even if they are promoted to the heavenly planets at the time of dissolution, the less intelligent persons do not know that even if they are promoted to the heavenly planets at the time of dissolutions, they themselves, the demigods, and all of their planets will be annihilated. They have no information that eternal blissful life can be attained. One second. They have no information that eternal blissful life can be attained. Okay. Text number 5. Those who are intelligent and are purified and are of purified consciousness are completely satisfied in Krishna consciousness, freed from the modes of material nature They do not act for sense gratification. Rather, since they are situated in their own occupational duties, they act as one is expected to act. Well, act in devotional service. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The first class example of this type of man is Arjuna. Arjuna was a Kshatriya and his occupational duty was to fight. Generally, kings fight to extend their kingdoms, which they rule for sense gratification. But as far as Arjuna is concerned, he declined to fight for his own sense gratification. He said that although he could get a kingdom by fighting with his relatives, he did not want to fight with them. But when he was ordered by Krishna and convinced by the teachings of Bhagavad Gita that his duty was to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, satisfy Krishna, then he fought. Thus, he fought not for sense gratification, but for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons who work at their prescribed duties, not for sense gratification, but for gratification of the Supreme Lord, are called Nisanga, freed from the influence of the modes of material nature. Yasta Karmana indicates that the results of their activities are given to the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such persons appear to be acting on the platform of their respective duties, but such activities are not performed for personal sense gratification. Rather, they are performed for the Supreme Person. Such devotees are called prasanta, which means completely satisfied. Suda Chetasa means Krishna consciousness. Wow, Suda Chetasa. Suda Chetasa means Krishna consciousness. Their consciousness has become purified in unpurified consciousness. One thinks of himself as the Lord of the universe, but in purified consciousness, one thinks himself the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Putting oneself in the position of eternal servitorship to the Supreme Lord and working for him perpetually, one actually becomes completely satisfied as long as one works for his personal sense gratification. He will always be full of anxiety. That is the difference between ordinary consciousness and Krishna consciousness. Very nice statement. So if we're actually engaged in Krishna consciousness, we will not feel any anxiety, knowing well that Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. He is our protector. He is our closest person to us because he's right in our hearts, and that he's promising to protect his devotee. Text number 6. By executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment, and without a sense of proprietorship or false egoism, one is posted in one's constitutional position. This means that's what we're meant to be. By dint of complete purification of the consciousness, and by thus executing so-called material duties, he can easily enter into the kingdom of God. Why does it say so-called material duties? Because the purpose of those duties is to go back to Godhead, not to stay in the material world and have sense gratification. Here the word nivrita dharma, nirata, means constantly engaging in executing religious activities for detachment. It's very nice. Constantly engaging in executing religious activities for detachment. There are two kinds of religious performances. One is called pravita dharma, which means the religious activities performed by the Griha Medis for elevation to higher planets for economic prosperity, the final aim of which is sense gratification. Every one of us who has come to this material world has the sense of overlordship. This is called poverty. But the opposite type of religious performance, which is called nivriti, is to act for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Engaged in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, one has no proprietorship claim, nor is one situated in the false egoism of thinking that he is God or the master. He always thinks himself the servant. This is the process of purifying consciousness. With pure consciousness, only can one enter into the kingdom of God. Materialistic persons, in their elevated condition, can enter any one of the planets within this material world, but all are subjected to dissolution over and over again. Well, you need to have knowledge to understand what is the real goal of life. So, the only way to get that knowledge is to completely surrender to Krishna under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master and engage in devotional service without any thought of proprietorship. Krishna is the ultimate proprietor of everything. So, if we always think of ourselves as a servant of the Lord, then we can purify our consciousness. With pure consciousness only can one enter into the kingdom of God. Materialistic persons in their elevated condition can enter any one of the planets within the material world, but all are subjected to dissolution over and over again. So going up and down in the material world, from going up to heavenly planets, coming down to the hellish planets, that is not the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to become liberated from this up down or down up process, and the only way to do that is to give up any claim of proprietorship and engage in devotional service. Now, to give up any claim of proprietorship, everybody's working for proprietorship. So you have to go the opposite way. That's why Prabhupada says, engaged in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, one has no proprietorship claim, nor is one situated in a false egoism of thinking that he is God or the master. He always thinks himself the servant. That is the process of purifying consciousness. All right, well, here you have the formula for purifying consciousness. With pure consciousness only, one can enter the kingdom of God. Materialistic persons in their elevated condition can enter any one of the planets within the material world, but all are subjected to dissolution over and over again. All right, well, this is the truth. Prabhupada does not mince his words. Prabhupada is explaining what the absolute truth is. So you have two things here. It says that you have poverty and nivriti. So, what is poverty? What is nivriti? Uh, the opposite type of religious performance is called nivriti. Uh, and uh, is to act for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And uh, everyone who comes to the material world has a sense of overlordship. This is called poverty. So poverty is overlordship. Uh, but the opposite type of religious performance, which is called nivriti, is to act for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Engaged in devotional service and Krishna consciousness, one has no proprietorship claim, nor is one situated in the false egoism of thinking that he is God or the master. He always thinks himself the servant. That is the process of purifying consciousness. With pure consciousness only can one enter into the kingdom of God. Materialistic persons in their elevated condition can enter any one of the planets within this material world, but all are subjected to dissolution over and over again. Okay, so poverty and nivriti. Uh, so everyone has the desire for overlordship. This is poverty. But the opposite type of religious performance, which is called nivriti, is to act for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so that's our takeaway for today. Poverty, poverty and nivriti. Poverty is to desire a sense of overlordship, and nivriti is to act for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text number 7. Through the path of illumination, such liberated persons approach the complete personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds, and is the supreme cause of their manifestation and dissolution. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Surya Dwarena means by the illuminated path or through the sun planet. The illuminated path is devotional service. It is advised in the Vedas not to pass through the darkness, but to pass through the sun planet. It is also recommended here that by traversing the illuminated path, one can be freed from the contamination of the material modes of nature. By that path, one can enter into the kingdom where the completely perfect personality of Godhead resides. The words Purusham Visvato Mukam mean the supreme personality of Godhead, who is all perfect. All living entities other than the supreme personality of Godhead are very small, although they may be big by our calculation. Everyone is infinitesimal, and therefore, in the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is called the Supreme Eternal amongst all eternals. He is the proprietor of material and spiritual worlds and the supreme cause of manifestation. Material nature is only the ingredient because actually the manifestation is caused by his energy, Krishna's energy. The material energy is also his energy, but as the combination of father and mother is the cause of the childbirth, so the combination of material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Supreme Lord, but the Lord Himself. Okay, so this efficient cause is a very important principle. Just like a uh, a animal goes uh, and lays her eggs in uh, in a place where it's warm, and later on you see the babies come out. Well, you think that the babies are born from the place where they're coming out from, but actually we didn't see the mother laying her eggs in some private place. So in the same way, uh, the combination of material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. Now, scientists don't say that. They have so many other explanations of how the material world has come about. They give different theories. But here it's explaining the absolute truth, which is the material energy is also Krishna's energy. Just as the combination of father and mother is the cause of childbirth, so the combination of material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord Himself. Okay, so that's a profound statement. And excuse me, that's a profound statement, and it's the truth, as opposed to what the scientists are saying. The scientists have their own, let's say, concept of the origin of creation and the maintenance of life on the material planets. But the real explanation is that the material energy is also his, meaning Krishna's energy, just as the combination of father and mother is the cause of children. So the combination of the material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of manifestation in the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord Himself. So the scientists are adamantly saying that the cause of material nature or the manifestation of the material world is due to matter. Uh, but the real cause is the Lord Himself. Now, this is a big, let's say, argument going on. And basically, why is there argument? Well, the scientists will say, we can't measure and we can't see the presence of the Lord. All we see is matter. We don't see the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, we only give explanations in terms of mundane energy. They don't take cognizance of the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they're perplexed. They have an explanation, but their explanation is incomplete. Explanation of what? The cause of material nature. Although they claim to be experts of knowing the material nature, knowing about the material nature, just because they can make airplanes and different types of things, building skyscrapers, building rockets and airplanes. But that doesn't mean they understand material nature. Okay, so what is the truth? The material energy is also his energy, meaning it's Krishna's energy. Just as the combination of father and mother is the cause of childbirth. So the combination of the material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord himself. Whereas the scientists reject the existence of the Lord and they only talk about material matter or matter. This is the problem. And that's why they'll never really understand what is the purpose of life and how to deal with the material energy. Because they think they can control the material energy. That's the whole point about going to the moon or going to Mars or trying to find ways to prolong the lifespan of human beings. Everything, every goal that they have is to violate the laws of material nature. And they don't want to live according to the laws of material nature. They want to keep violating them, but they never really succeed. One hurricane or one earthquake defeats all their philosophies and all their construction of uh, high-rise buildings and all their different plans for finding a place, finding the El Dorado on the earth. Look that up, El Dorado.
It's the
El Dorado on the earth planet. What is El Dorado?
Eldorado preferred
What does it say?
golden city, or even the entire kingdom filled with immense riches.
Oh,
Well,
say it out loud.
golden city, or an entire kingdom filled with immense riches. So that's the Eldorado is the symbol of human ambition, greed, and the lure of the unknown. So these are the different interpretations or explanations.
Well, El Dorado is in the spiritual world. It's not in the material world. uh, so the main statement here is that material nature is only the ingredient because actually the manifestation is caused by his or Krishna's energy. The material energy is also his energy, just as the combination of father and mother is the cause of childbirth. So the combination of the material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord himself. Whereas the scientists are they're hell bent on proving that matter is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. But actually, the glance of the Lord is the cause of material nature. So it says uh, the combination of the material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of God is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord himself. Whereas, you look at Darwin and so many other philosophers and so-called scientists, they're trying to prove that material nature is the cause of the material energy. They don't talk about the glance of the Supreme Lord uh, being the cause of the manifestation of the material world. And it says the efficient cause, the real cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord himself. But the scientists, they're trying to prove that matter itself is the cause of the material world. Therefore, all the books of science are misleading. When a child reads and gets a science book, a modern science book, that book is going to mislead them in understanding what is the real purpose of life. And they just think everything is material energy and they're not interested in anything spiritual. That's why when even Krishna conscious kids go to school, eventually, unless they have a strong, let's say, involvement in the temple, they also believe that everything is coming from matter. And uh, there's no such thing as God, who is the controller of everything. Because they don't teach that in school. They don't teach that in the books that the kids are reading. So they just take it as a priori truth that matter is self existing, that there's no God involved. So therefore, God is relegated to the level of wishful thinking, not real fact. It's not science. That's why it says here, everyone is infinitesimal, meaning really small. And therefore, in the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is called the Supreme Eternal amongst all eternals. He is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds and the supreme cause of manifestation. Material nature is, okay, now, the supreme cause of manifestation. Now, the scientists have many theories about the cause of manifestation. Let's read a couple of them. Let's ask the elephant in the room. What are the speculative causes of manifestation in the material world? One of them is Big Bang. That, of course, is complete nonsense. What does it say?
So the scientific speculations. Modern science explains the material world through nature's natural laws and observable phenomena, though the ultimate cause remains mystery. Some key theories include the Big Bang theory. According to this, the universe originated from a singularity approximately 13.8 billion years ago, rapidly expanding and cooling to form matter and galaxies.
Singularity means there was one thing that exploded.
Yeah, it's like a point of infinite density.
You're right. That's all a bunch of nonsense. If I make an explosion in your kitchen, that wouldn't produce anything, it would destroy everything. So That's why they have the Big Bang Theory. Uh, why? Because everything that we're doing right now is based on bangs. You have rockets, you have the automobile, uh, you have everything is based on explosions, explosion technology, as opposed to fusion technology. So the scientists up until now have only really explored explosion technologies. They're trying to understand fusion technology. So look up the difference between explosion technology and fusion technology. They're two opposites.
Just on the previous point, Maharaj, Big Bang theory is one thing, and then there is also two, three other theories. Quantum fluctuations. Some physicists propose that quantum vacuum fluctuations could spontaneously create universes without an external cause.
And that's nonsense.
Then the next theory is that the multiverse theory. Our universe might just be one of the many with different physical laws governing each. And then this one is interesting. Simulation hypothesis. Some speculate that our universe is an advanced simulation, possibly controlled by a higher intelligence. They're coming somewhat closer. Accepting.
Well, yeah, you could talk about the demigods. They're higher living entities that are controlling the functioning of the material nature.
Yeah. So I don't know how many accept that particular theory, but they are coming closer to somewhat of the material reality.
Yeah, most people are not interested in that. They're just interested in having illicit sex, eating and sleeping, mating and defending. And then they, after they pass stool and urine, then they go and talk about, all these theories. Okay, what's very interesting here in the statement, Prabhupada says that the Lord is called the Supreme Eternal amongst all eternals. He is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds and the supreme cause of manifestation. Material nature is only the ingredient because actually the manifestation is caused by his energy, meaning Krishna's energy. The material energy is also his energy. So there's spiritual energy and his material energy. Both of them belong to Krishna. Just as the combination of father and mother is the cause of childbirth, so the combination of the material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord himself. And that is a very, very profound statement. The scientists are trying to create matter. Then they could claim to be God. Now, look up. Scientists have performed an experiment where they actually transform energy into matter. Look that up. Energy into matter. They claim they did that in 2012. So, and they called it the God particle, is what they created. And it only lasted for, 1/30,000th of a second. the God particle. They claim that they created this God particle. In other words, when you transform energy into matter.
Yeah, so says yes, scientists have successfully converted energy into matter in a controlled experiment. In a major breakthrough, researchers at the Brookhaven National Laboratory's Relativistic Heavy Ion Collider (RHIC) provided direct evidence of the Breit-Wheeler effect, a process predicted in 1934 where two photons, particles of light, collide to create matter and antimatter. The experiment involved accelerating gold ions to nearly the speed of light, which generated strong electromagnetic fields. When these ions passed close to each other, their surrounding photons interacted, producing electron-positron pairs, demonstrating the conversion of energy into matter. Electron-positron pairs. Other experiments, such as those in the SLAC National Accelerator Laboratory in 1997 and the Large Hadron Collider more recently, have also transformed energy into matter through different processes. These experiments validate Einstein's equation E equals mc squared, proving that energy can be converted into matter under the right conditions. Yeah,
Now, has that in any way changed the course of human culture and life today? No. You see, it has absolutely no relevance to modern life. The fact that they claim they did that. Why don't you ask the elephant in the room here? Has that scientific, let's say, advancement changed the course of human society? In other words, all the scientific discoveries has not really changed the course of material life. I mean, the ability to build a light bulb changed some things as far as life goes. Edison and the light bulb changed some things, but still, there was a way of having light before, with candles and other things. But it made, the discovery of the light bulb by Edison made it a little easier for people in life. It's just like now we have these lights on, right? But people lived before the electric light bulb. They just, went to sleep early and waked up a little late when the sun rise. So they lived according to the movement of the sun. Right? Yeah. Now you can stay up all night long.
They were more regulated.
They were more regulated, yeah. So it doesn't really, change life. It just changed the regulation of people's life. They live according to the rising and the uh, going down of the sun. When the sun goes down, they go to sleep. When the sun comes up, they wake up. Now, because they're light bulb, they can stay up all night long. Well, that's not good for your health anyway. So it's not really advancement. What is it saying? Does it say anything?
It's saying that yes, the knowledge of converting energy into matter and the broader understanding of mass energy equivalence have significantly advanced human life in several ways. Number one,
In what? Several ways?
several ways.
Yeah.
Number one is nuclear energy, power generation. The principles of energy equivalence underpin nuclear power, where a small amount of matter is converted into large amount of energy. This provides a substantial portion of the world's electricity, offering a low carbon alternative to fossil fuels. Then the next one is medical applications. Nuclear technology is also used in the medical imaging, like PET scans and cancer treatments, like radiation therapy, improving diagnostic and therapeutic capabilities. Particle physics and research. Scientific discovery experiments like those conducted at the Large Hadron Collider have led to discoveries such as Higgs boson, enhancing our understanding of the fundamental structure of the universe. Technological spin-offs. Research in particle physics has led to advancements in computing, materials sciences, and engineering. For example, the development of the World Wide Web originated from CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. Medical and industrial applications. Radiotherapy. The use of high energy particles to target and destroy cancer cells is a direct application of nuclear physics. Sterilization. Radiation is used to sterilize medical instruments and food, ensuring safety and extending shelf life. Energy and environmental impact. Fusion research. Understanding matter energy conversion is crucial for developing nuclear fusion as a potential future energy source, which promises to be cleaner and more sustainable than current energy technologies.
It hasn't happened.
Environmental monitoring. Nuclear techniques are used to monitor and manage environmental pollutants and to study ecological systems. Then technological innovations, semiconductors and electronics, advances in quantum mechanics and material sciences, driven by nuclear and particle physics research, have led to the development of semiconductors, which are the backbone of modern electronics. Advanced materials. Research in high energy physics have contributed to the development of new materials with unique properties useful in various industries. Then there is the educational and economic impact. STEM education. Discoveries in physics inspire and educate future generations in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, driving innovation and economic growth. Economic growth. Investments in physics, research, and technology have development have led to new industries and job creation, contributing to economic development. So
It's all blah, blah, blah. They have to somehow or other validate that all their research and all the money that's being spent on it is valuable. But, before all that, the caveman lived. They had a full life, right? They didn't have to have all these things. And people have been living since the beginning of time. All
yeah,
these
first,
things are just there's new things that just happened in the last 100 200 years. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, first they digress from the nature's laws causing ugra karma to start with. I mean, the karma itself.
Yeah.
Now to fix that, they have to do all these things, and it's like a chasing, and let's say, for example, they come up with this fusion energy. They might, and then at some time it might explode, or there's no way to 100% guarantee,
Yeah.
and that will cause enormous damage.
Yeah.
I mean, to actually get to fusion to happen, you have to have like 1 million centigrade degrees temperature.
Oh.
1 million. Imagine what would happen if there's something wrong happens, like that. All that energy is.
Oh, things are happening. Wrong things are happening all the time. Due to mistakes. And fusion energy is very dangerous. They think that is the cause of the sun's energy, and it's wrong. The cause of the sun's energy is Krishna, right? The light that's coming from the sun is produced by Krishna himself. It's not because of fusion energy. So basically, they're going in the wrong direction. Okay, so our takeaway today. All right, so today we learned what is the real cause of the manifestation in the material world. It says the material nature is only the ingredient, because actually the manifestation is caused by his, meaning Krishna's energy. The material energy is also his energy, just as the combination of father and mother is the cause of childbirth, so the combination of the material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord himself. See, now that's a big, big statement. The scientists are trying to prove that matter is the cause of the material manifestation. But it's there is matter, but matter is not the cause of creation. It's the glance of the Supreme Lord. So this is something very subtle and transcendental. Therefore, it says, so the combination of the material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord himself. Whereas the scientists are hell-bent on proving that matter itself is the cause of everything. So by saying that, they reject any supernatural cause like Krishna. And you can look in the statements of scientists. They deny any supernatural cause. They only deal with the mundane, let's say, forces of nature, and do not accept that there's any supernatural cause. But yet, they're flummoxed, they're confused, because they can't really explain all the things that are happening in nature. There are things that are beyond their ability to experiment. Therefore, they just ignore that. Or they just speculate. So the combination of material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord himself. This is not accepted by modern scientists, but it's the truth. You can imagine how boring it is for scientists. Every day they go and they split atoms in their big,
And
atom
they see a
splitting.
small light on computer.
Yeah, yeah. You can imagine how boring it is. That's why they go home and have illicit sex. Because they were bored all day watching atoms split. Must be very boring for them. Okay, so this is a profound verse. This is Canto 3, chapter 32, verse number 7. Through the path of illumination, such liberated persons approach the complete personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds and is the supreme cause of their manifestation and dissolution. Okay, so this is a very, very high level, let's say, verse. Right? It's explaining the real uh, cause of creation. It says the word Surya Dvarena means by the illuminated path or through the sun planet. Well, the sun is the cause of all energy in the material world. Even the scientists accept that. And there's only one sun. All the stars are simply reflecting the energy of the sun. Yeah, it's amazing. So many speculations about the cause of creation, how it's being maintained, and the dissolution. They don't talk so much about dissolution. They talk about the creation and the maintenance. They also mention the dissolution, but they don't spend much time on it. So the main takeaway is this: the material energy is also his, meaning Krishna's energy, just as the combination of father and mother is the cause of childbirth. So the combination of the material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord Himself. And the scientists are hell bent on trying to prove that matter itself is the cause of matter. You see how Prabhupada really clarifies everything. So scientists will not accept that the glance of the Supreme Personality God is the cause of the manifestation in the material world. They're trying to prove that matter itself is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. That's not true. In order to understand the material world, you have to go outside of it to understand how it's functioning, because it's not functioning by itself. There's outside personalities that are controlling it. So you always have to go outside. You have to put a circle around what you're seeing and then go outside of that circle to understand why it's functioning. Otherwise, you'll never be able to understand things as they actually are. You'll make up junk philosophies like they have here. Uh, they don't they don't think that the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material worlds. So see, that's something outside of matter. And therefore it says the efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord Himself. So you have to go outside of matter to understand what the cause of matter is. They don't do that. They give all these theories based on matter itself. Then statements like this: material nature is only the ingredient, because actually the manifestation is caused by His, meaning Krishna's energy. The material energy is also His energy, just as the combination of father and mother is the cause of childbirth. So the combination of the material energy and the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord Himself. Okay, that's our takeaway today. And it completely is opposite to what the scientists are saying. Amazing. Thank you, Prabhupada, for helping us understand the truth and not be duped by these so-called scientists. And the last statement says, the efficient cause, or the real cause, therefore is not matter itself, but the Lord Himself. Haribol. That is our takeaway today. Without Krishna, none of these things would happen. Of course, you can't convince the scientists of that. They continue doing all their research. Why? Because the more they research, the more money they make. If they stopped all research, they wouldn't make any money. They'd have to go and get a real job. Actually, they should do that. They should get a real job. Instead of all this research they're doing, they should go and maybe sell ice cream or work in a factory or something, something real. What they're dealing with are things that are not real. Things you cannot prove. No ordinary person can research what they're to see if what they're doing is valid or invalid. Right? So they keep coming up with newer theories that an ordinary person cannot validate. That's a very good strategy. That way, no one can control what you're doing.
No one can no one can challenge.
Yeah, no one can challenge. Yeah,
you have to accept it.
Exactly. Very tricky. Very, very tricky. But why? Because they haven't discovered anything new in 100 years. Uh, they discovered electromagnetism, and they discovered what else? One other thing, gravity. Gravity and electromagnetism. After that, nothing new has come up until today. Nothing new has come. It's just those two things, electromagnetism and gravity. They still don't completely understand gravity. But electromagnetism, at least they've been able to make things with that, light bulbs and all kinds of things. But that's the extent of their, let's say, research. There's nothing new after electromagnetism and gravity. Nothing new has come after that. And fast forward till today, they're just going on the basis of electromagnetism. All these gadgets that we have, it's all electromagnetic stuff. All right. Well, thank you very much. And chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Don't waste any time hearing all the lies of the scientists, the geneticists, all these fake guys coming up one theory after another. You think they'd get bored doing that? Yeah, I was once a very close friend of an Armenian priest. One day he called me. He was so excited on the phone. He said, "I got to talk to you. I got to talk to you." And I said, "Okay, well, you can talk to me on the phone." He said, "No, I got to talk to you in person." I said, "Okay." So I go and see him, and he's so excited because he said he found a new interpretation of the Bible. And he was really excited, Of course, it was all speculation. Yeah. So this is what's going on in the scientific world also. They're really excited. They discovered something new, but actually it's a hoax. It's nonsense. They haven't discovered anything new since gravity and electromagnetism. That's it. Those are the only two things they've got that are valid. That doesn't solve the problem of birth and death. So really, they haven't discovered anything. The real purpose of science is to solve the problem of birth and death. So they're not real. What they're doing today is not real science. They're just playing games. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you.